I hope you enjoy this special episode straight from the Hill of Ward, or Tlachtga, the birthplace of Halloween. Happy Halloween! I am sitting in Ireland right now for this special episode, and I'm going to bring you, I guess, a little bit of the history, the way back history of Halloween. Halloween began in Ireland came from the festival of Samhain. And today we are going to talk to Tlachtga, who is the goddess of Samhain, and learn a little bit more about Halloween. So, Tlachtga, thank you for joining me today, and I apologize if I have completely butchered your name.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and Jodie. Thank you for coming all the way over wherever you came from to visit me here in Athboy in the Royal County of Meath. So let me introduce myself. My name is Tlachtga. And I know a lot of people say that wrong, but of course, Jodie, you said it right.
Oh, yay!
But for your viewers, I would like to do it properly. So I'd like you to say the word clocked.
Clocked.
And then add ga.
Ga.
And put it together and we have?
Tlachtga.
Very good. So now we have that little lesson out of the way, we can commence our beautiful town here in earnest. So you're probably wondering who I am or where I came from. I am the guardian of this very special place. I am an ancient goddess and I died in tragic circumstances over 3,000 years ago. So please stay a while and I'll tell you my story if you dare.
We've got chills.
After I died, I was worshipped in Ireland for a very long time until that fellow St. Patrick came along and it was all but forgotten. But I never went away, you know. I was always here as this is my home. My father was a magical druid, you see. He was very revered, like a sun god, and that made me a very special person. My family had status around these parts. We commanded respect. But after I died, fire was lit on my hill just up the road here. It's known as the Hill of Ward, but its true name is Tlachtga, and the actual birthplace of something what you lovely folks call Halloween. I've never heard of that term. I only know it as Samhain. Now, my hill is not just any old hill. It is part of one of the four most important Celtic sites here in Ireland. It was the religious centre for all of pagan Ireland, like a church or a place of worship, for all the ancient people to come and visit on a pilgrimage. Then we have the Hill of Tara. It is 10 miles south of my hill, and it is where the High King of Ireland resided, like a royal seat of the country. Next we have the Hill of Ishnok, which is 30 miles to the west, where all the trading and commercial activities took place at the time, like a marketplace. And the final point is Tailteann or Telltown, about 10 miles to the east along the River Blackwater. They were having competitions down in Tailteann in running and riding and swimming and fighting, long before those Greeks had the Olympics. So, my friends, Ireland had its origins here in sport. I spent many a time sitting back watching these Tailteann games and they were fun, I tell you. Now, this hill of mine is where the Celts came to pray and worship their gods. They had originally come all the way over from Europe into Ireland, and by having their ceremonies here, involving fires and rituals and music and dance, and of course, burials like mine, it also became associated with Christian Souls Day, or All Hallows Eve. And this is around the same time as the Celtic end-of-year festivities on October 31st. And my friends, All Hallows Eve is what you know as Halloween, but you're wrong. The true name is Samhain, after me, of course. The Celtic year ended on October 31st. So a big bonfire was lit on my hill to give thanks to nature, to light up the night with fires which would be transported by torches, to light the fires on the other hills, people's homes, and then eventually all around the island, so the whole country was ablaze on this night of celebration. You see, they believed that the night, the veil between this world and the afterlife, was at its smallest, and spirits are able to move back and forth, a bit like me today, if you think. People would dress up so they wouldn't be caught by the spirits going out at night time. And then they would leave out food and drink to appease the spirits, and this is where trick or treating comes from. It was also a time to remember our dead, and this Celtic festival is celebrated all over the world. But don't you forget where it all started, right here on my hill in Athboy. And if you do not believe me, it's written in the annals of history as to what happened here. I am here to tell you about it, am I not? Now, have you heard the saying of knocking on wood?
Yes.
And what is your meaning, do you think it is about?
Keep me safe, right?
Yes.
Yeah, knock on wood, scare whatever's coming at me away.
Let me tell you the true meaning of it. This goes all the way back to the ancient people, back many, many moons ago. And this is where they believe the trees were alive. But Jodie, they are alive. I talk to them. I hear that King Charles in England talks to his trees as well. Now, these ancient people believed by knocking on a piece of bark or on the trunk that would awaken the spirits to give thanks to all their good fortune for that year. And then they would ask the tree spirits to give them luck and to make sure nothing would happen to them in the future. So now that we are here in this wonderful Athboy, I'd like you to try pick a tree and knock on a piece of wood and see what the spirits tell you today. Do you have any message?
I don't. They don't like me.
Try once more. I believe you do not have the gift. I believe that tree does not have a message for you here today. But never mind, we will try again later on. Now, where we are standing, would you believe, is an actual fairy fort. This is the entrance and exit into the underworld. Now, if I knew you guys weren't here today, I would be wandering down into my home down below you. This is where all our ancient banshees and fairies lived. They're always watching us. And I believe they were watching us earlier when we were on the other side of the field. They like shiny little things, you see. So make sure you have your shiny little things hidden, or else they'll never be seen again. So I think we might move on from this area to calm them down and let me tell you more about this ancient site. You see, from the 6th century, the local druids remembered me when were also worshipping me on my hill. And of course, St. Patrick came along, saw how special it was, and he declared a holy well. He also built a church, but that did not survive, of course. We had a Viking battle here as well between those Nordic invaders and our own King Malachy in 1022 when he sent them packing back to Scandinavia. And we had our own King Malachy in 1169 where he gathered all the chieftains and the fairies and the leaders of the land up to my hill for the great convention to sort out all the rules and regulations of this country. Couple of years later, the bold Anglo-Normans came in, fortified my town with a castle with 4 walls and 2 gates going in and out, and not looking after the locals. They were really, really bad. A local king was beheaded, and when he went to the English to try and save his life, they went behind his back and he put his head on a spike as a warning. So you see, my friends, I've seen many horrible things happen on my hill, but it's a very special hill, you see. A lot of other things happened up here as well. There are a dozen castles in the area, so we had a lot of very influential friends, and the town was given its royal charter in 1497, before the monks made their home here back in the 13th century. My Hill also held rallying meetings for Ireland's independence for the British of 1916. And 4 local men from this area took part in the Easter Rebellion, in Ireland gaining its freedom. There was also a battle in the resulting civil war held between the opposing Irish men, on the 2 sides fighting each other and to whether to accept or reject a division of Ireland into the north and south. So you see, it was quite an important place for many centuries. After all this, the town started to have a bit of stability. So the town is almost a reflection of all the history here in this one little place. Now, you should know that Athboy itself means Báile Átha Buidhe in Irish, which means town of the yellow ford or muddied river. You see, the ford would have been a shallow place where people were able to cross before the bridges were here. And it was a very important river. It led down to the River Boyne or Bowen after my sister goddess. Of course, we're all well known in these parts. So now you've learned all about me and all about this wonderful little place that we have. But before we leave, this area was an actual market for cattle back in 1955 and was also the local sports field. It was made into a lovely public park in 1999. And of course, I'm here. My statue is over here in the corner, making sure that everything is serene and kept still and nothing sinister happens here. So, that is where we are here in the Fair Green. And if you continue on with me, we will go through the town.
I don't know about you, but some of that gave me shivers. And it's a really, really interesting, if you come to do the entire tour, the entire event, especially around Halloween, up in Navan, right? Are you doing it in Navan? Where you in Athboy? So if you come to Athboy to do the entire Tlachtga Abhaile event or tour in Athboy, I highly, highly recommend it. Now, Tlachtga Abhaile is actually brought to life by my friend Fiona Dalton. And if you've listened to the podcast or you've gone back through the episodes, you'll recognize that name because Fiona joined me in episode number 68 when we discussed her musical history tour of Dublin, which I also highly recommend. You're going to be able to find more information on Fiona and Tlachtga Abhaile on the Facebook, Instagram pages, as well as Fiona's website, and all of those are going to be linked in the show notes for you. So Fiona, just to kind of wrap up here, this is a more personal type of thing for you to do, I feel like, than your musical history tour, because you are a trained singer. This is something that, you've done for years and years. You are used to performing, but going back into like this deep Irish history, just in the location that you live, because you don't live in Dublin, you live in Meath.
Yes.
So it feels like a very personal type of thing for you to do, almost.
It is. I think when we first started talking about it, I was going, oh, this is just another, dress up and do the show. But the more research and deeper I got into it, I felt more of a connection with Tlachtga. And I really do. It's amazing. I feel like she engulfs me. She's, but even last week I was doing the tour and I had said something, and next thing, this gust of wind just came out of nowhere. So I feel her presence is always around me when I'm actually performing, and I don't want to perform her in a bad way. Mm-hmm. I want to tell her true story. And by doing all the research and stuff, I just got more of I didn't really know a lot about it before this, and it gives you a good appreciation of what would have happened to our ancestors like 3,000 years ago. Mm-hmm. I mean, and a lot of people don't associate Halloween with this, but there's more to just the commercialized. When we were growing up, like, we were never told why we had to dress up, or because you couldn't go out at night time because the spirits would catch you type of thing. So all that is just, it's so intriguing, like, and it's amazing. Just the actual story. Like.
Fascinating to hear where the things we do now, the trick or treat, the costumes, how that all stems from the ancient festival, the ancient rituals.
So if you wanted to go out at night time between a certain amount when the veil was at its thinnest, you had to disguise yourself. You couldn't go out as your own because you would be taken away to the other world. So you basically had to hide yourself, basically, so that the spirits wouldn't catch you. And a lot of people believe it's all this hocus pocus type of thing, but I do believe there's a true meaning behind it. Anyway, it's really, really in a spiritual way, but I just think it's a real nice story to tell, and it's part of our history, like.
Right. Yeah. So I mentioned you've got Instagram and Facebook. So those are both under. Are they under Tlachtga, or how would people find those?
They're under Tlachtga, yeah.
Tlachtga.
Well done, you said that really well.
And it spelled nothing like it sounds. So I'm just gonna say, go to the show notes. Pop on through, find the links there, and then the Fiona Dalton, is it a .ie.com?
Dalton's
musical history tours
on the Boyne Valley experiences, because we're in the Boyne Valley here in Meath. Okay. So they'll find all the Meath tours under that section.
Perfect. Yeah. And again, that will be linked in the show notes. So Fiona, I want to thank you so much for really bringing us this history of Halloween, and sharing that.
This.
Yeah, it's so important.
Yeah, absolutely.